Hey, thanks for joining us here on another edition of Garage Boxing. Kevin Breen, joined by Rob Ernster.
Good to be here as always.
Hey, it's January 13th, 2010. A lot of boxing news. Obviously, the biggest is the drama, the soap opera that we've been watching the last 30 days or so. Pacquiao, Mayweather, not happening. We all know it. In the wake of that, we've got Pacquiao Clottey.
That's going to be good.
Set for the same date, March 17th.
March 13th.
March 13th. And now, instead of being at the MGM in Las Vegas, you've got the fight in Texas, in Dallas, in
the new mega stadium, the best place to probably see a fight.
You know, that was on the table for the original fight, Mayweather-Pacquiao, and you know, some say, and it's probably true, that the greed of you know the old boys network of Vegas and having a 18,000 you know venue versus 100,000 venue, and for the Pacquiao Clottey fight, supposedly we've got 50,000. I don't think they're going to sell the whole thing out.
Right, they're going to reconfigure it so everyone has a better seat. Obviously, you can't sell at a big stadium like that for a fight like this. I mean, maybe you could, but you wouldn't see anything from in the nosebleeds. Even with the biggest TV around, you would still miss quite a bit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the tickets are going to be priced $700, $500, $300, $150, and that sounds.
Where's 50 get you?
That's,
parking lot?
You know, I mean, you know that sounds actually, you know, pretty fair. I mean, it's basically what if you live in that area, what the pay-per-view would be. So you know, get on your horse and go see it. But you know, it's exciting, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about. You talk about Mayweather's going to fight first. It's unknown. So you know, let's focus right now on the topic of Pacquiao Clottey. Like you said, a great fight. You know, it's not clear cut. You know, I think a lot of us didn't see this coming, and so now it's like, well, you know, it's a different ball game.
This is not a tune-up fight for Pacquiao. You know, he could easily get hurt, not perform that well, possibly even lose. I mean, Clottey, he just doesn't get hurt unless he hurts himself by hurting his hands, like he did against Margarito. You know, Cotto really couldn't back him up or hurt him. You know, he didn't hit the gas in that fight to possibly win it, so he ended up losing. You know, I think he's looking at this like a second chance against the pound-for-pound king in Pacquiao. This is it. This is his stage. He always comes in shape. You know, is he going to pull the trigger and go 100 miles an hour the whole fight? Or is he going to be, you know, standing there, take his shots, and barely lose a split decision? I honestly, I don't think Pacquiao is going to knock him out. I think I give Pacquiao a lot of credit, respect for taking a fighter like Clottey, and I mean honestly, he's probably just as dangerous as Mayweather. You know, Mayweather's more defensive, and
well, they're both defensive, but in different ways, right? You've got Clottey, everybody knows the guard.
The elbows go down to his knees, I think.
Right.
It's like you can't hit the guy.
No, you can't.
There's not a lot of openings.
He's got a lot of arm there, and you know, again, he's gotten hurt, and there's that question of the heart because, you know, he could have taken those fights, and I know some people think he got robbed, but the reality is
close.
That
it was close.
The reality is he didn't take it. He didn't grab it from the champion, which was the Cotto fight. You know, he had Cotto down, or Clottey had
him already had a cut in the third round.
Yeah,
he didn't capitalize on it as much as he should have.
I thought Clottey was going to again be on that big scene against the Cotto, and you know, really take it to him, and this was his chance, and you know, again, tough guy. We had the same conversation, and then what happens? Cotto, you know, a tough son of a bitch either way. You know, I mean, takes it to him, and again, he doesn't allow the challenger to grab it from him and take those last few rounds. Like he's well, not easily, for some reason, I don't know. Is it the heart? Is it the stamina? Is it the
misconception that he thinks he's so far ahead that he doesn't need to engage? But you know what? Cotto wasn't backing him up. You know, Cotto was counter-punching, backing up. So Clottey was coming in, not throwing punches, but coming in, covering up, and trying to counter. You know, that's not going to win you fights. You don't chase a guy around, you know, cover up, and then not counter while he steps away. You know, he's not going to catch Pacquiao like that. He's too fast. He has to come out, be a lot more offense, let it hang out. He could take a punch. I mean, no one hurts this guy. Let it hang out, you know. See if Pacquiao can take your punch. Don't just cover up and try to counter because it's not going to happen. Pacquiao's not going to be there.
That's a good point. You know, the other thing that I think is that I thought the same thing about the Cotto Pacquiao fight. You know, I don't see Pacquiao knocking him out. I see it going the later rounds, and Clottey has stagnated. Some say maybe up and down. The peak of his maybe Zab Judah, and again being that close to Cotto, maybe he's coming up, and Cotto was just that little bit better. But I think Pacquiao is just in a league of his own. I think I'm thinking a lot of heart. I think it's going to be so close. I think it would be even a closer fight than the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight would be. And I think, again, it goes back to the styles. I do think that, Floyd would probably have a unanimous decision and an easier time with Clottey versus, let's say, Manny. But I also think it's going to be a more exciting fight, Manny-Clottey.
Right.
And I think that, then let's say Clottey Mayweather, but I think that fight is going to wind up being a unanimous decision, maybe split decision. I called the last Clottey Cotto fight a controversial split decision. I maybe could see a split decision, but I think it's more realistically you probably have unanimous decision, close scores for Pacquiao, and an incredible event in Dallas with Jerry Jones, and
Good undercard.
Good undercard. You've got the return of Antonio Margarito. What do you think about that? I mean, he's going to be in Texas. He's a top-ranked
fan base there.
Good fan base. There's lots of seats to fill, and I think they're going to, like I said, scale it to a crowd of 50,000.
But scale it to.
But you do
that's a lot of people.
You do the math on that. I mean, let's say you give those $20,000 or 20,000 seats at $50 to $100, and then you start getting thousands of tickets at $700. I mean, they're gonna make a nice live gate there, and they're gonna have the promotional arm of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys and the NFL and all their athletes.
Yeah, Pacquiao comes out way ahead of Mayweather. It doesn't matter who Mayweather fights. It's such a bigger stage in Dallas at the new stadium. A bigger crowd. I mean, Mayweather, even if he fought somebody like a Paul Williams, who we know he's good, but not everyone knows him, like you were saying, he's just not going to draw as much attention. The pay-per-view numbers are going to be bigger with Pacquiao Clottey than anybody Mayweather fights. I don't see anybody out there, unless he holds off and maybe fights Mosley, which I don't think he'll do.
Well, let's get to Mayweather in a second. I mean, and the thing is you talk about the differences between those two fights in terms of attendance. They couldn't get a lot of tickets sold for Marquez Mayweather. I mean, there was a lot of giveaways and things like that. So, but again, I'm calling it out right now, and we'll get into more analysis, I guess, as far as that fight, Pacquiao Clottey in March in Texas. Incredible event. Undercard Antonio Margarito. Also talked about is Alfonso Gomez, local boy, Orange County, contender status, and then I'm just thinking about Bob Arum probably having to pick out the ring card girls from the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
One for every round.
Right, where
all the fights, I think there's enough of them.
You just cycle through, and then on the other side you have Golden Boy and Mayweather, who are looking at, again, let's start to talk about Majnani and the winner of Berto Mosley in Vegas, where they're not going to even come close to selling out. And now HBO's got to choose between the two guys, and
if they do fight on the same date, I can't imagine Mayweather's going to sign to fight somebody on the same day, because then he'd be head to head. He would lose that. He's better off doing it on a different day, so his numbers are better, and it doesn't seem like he's competing as much, even though he is.
The prediction would be that they would do it the following week
on the 20th.
On the
March 20th.
the 20th, whatever that is, and so I mean, now let's talk about it.